assumed time had erased him. That memory weakens when ignored. But the mind never forgets injury. It stores it quietly, replaying moments until silence feels unbearable and the need to return becomes inevitable. The city reflected his thoughts back at him. Distorted lights, endless repetition, every step triggered old sensations. Not anger yet, something colder, awareness, the realization that unfinished memories don't fade, they wait for attention. He wasn't chasing revenge, he was chasing relief, because the mind demands resolution, and when denied peace, it creates obsessions, slowly reshaping identity until the past becomes the only present that matters. Trauma, the mind feels predictable, safe routines, familiar faces, certainty. He trusted the stability around him, unaware that psychological safety is fragile, and once broken, the brain never fully rebuilds it. Photographs once triggered warmth. Now they triggered confusion. How could something so stable disappear so quickly? The brain struggles most, not with loss, but with the shock of realizing safety was an illusion all along. Memory began rearranging itself. Moments felt suspicious in hindsight, signals he missed replayed repeatedly, because after trauma, the mind rewrites the past, searching obsessively for the moment everything truly went wrong. Betrayal fractures perception instantly. The brain shifts into survival mode, sounds sharpen, time slows. What happened in that room wasn't just violence. It was the collapse of trust embedded deep in his psyche. Every broken object triggered mental association, evidence of struggle, resistance, fear. His mind recorded details with unnatural clarity because psychological shock engraves moments permanently, replaying them long after physical wounds fade. The realization settled slowly. This wasn't chaos. It was intention. Planned harm carries a heavier psychological weight because it forces the victim to accept they were targeted, chosen, and deliberately erased. Abandonment triggers something primal. The body weakens, but the mind resists. Pain blurred perception, yet awareness remained. The knowledge that he was considered disposable carved deeper than the injuries themselves. Between consciousness and darkness, a decision formed. Not emotional, instinctive. To survive long enough to remember. Because once the brain associates survival with purpose, it refuses to shut down, no matter the cost. Recovery wasn't healing, it was adaptation. The mind learned new limits, new tolerances. Pain became familiar. Fear became manageable. Emotions dulled, replaced by control. The brain's preferred defense against vulnerability. The mirror no longer reflected identity, only function. Scars served as reminders, not warnings. Psychological transformation doesn't announce itself. It quietly replaces empathy with calculation, convincing the mind this version is safer. He stopped seeking fairness. Fairness requires belief in systems. The mind, once betrayed, trusts only patterns it can predict. And revenge offered structure, logic, and the illusion of psychological balance. Planning calmed the noise. Lists reduced anxiety. Details restored order. The brain thrives on structure after chaos. Every name recorded reduced emotional overload, converting rage into something controllable and precise. Connections formed visually. Faces linked to locations. Actions to outcomes. This wasn't obsession. It was cognitive reorganization. The mind rebuilding reality in a way that finally made sense again. Waiting wasn't mercy. It was regulation. The longer he delayed, the more control he felt. Because anticipation stabilizes disturbed minds, allowing them to believe they command time instead of being haunted by it. Tell me in the comments, was the shadow justice or revenge gone too far? Observation replaced interaction. Distance felt safe. Watching without being seen satisfied something internal. Power without exposure. The psychological shift was complete when proximity no longer triggered fear, only curiosity. Patterns emerged quickly. Humans repeat themselves unconsciously. He noted confidence, arrogance, carelessness. The mind finds comfort predicting others. Prediction reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is where anxiety thrives. Fear hadn't reached them yet, but anticipation had reached him. And anticipation is addictive. It sharpens perception, slows time, and convinces the brain that control has finally been restored. He introduced doubt, not danger. Subtle signals, uncertainty. The brain collapses faster under imagined threats than real ones. Sleep disruption, hypervigilance, paranoia, fear multiplying itself without his presence required. Their behavior shifted. Caution replaced confidence. Isolation increased. The mind, once destabilized, does the work alone. He didn't chase them. He let their own thoughts turn against them. Confrontation wasn't violent. It was psychological exposure. Recognition shattered denial instantly. Seeing him forced memory activation, collapsing carefully constructed lies and triggering fear rooted in guilt, not threat. Silence carried weight. Understanding settled painfully. This wasn't retaliation. It was reflection. Being forced to face consequences disrupts self-image, something the human mind protects more aggressively than the body itself. Not everyone stays to hear stories like this. Only those who understand the darkness remain. New information destabilized everything. Cognitive dissonance set in. Beliefs clashed with facts. The brain resisted adjustment, because altering the narrative threatened the psychological structure he'd built to survive. Guilt became fragmented, not absolute, not simple. Moral clarity dissolved. And when certainty disappears, the mind panics, forcing a decision not between right and wrong, but between obsession and release. Completion felt empty. No relief spike, no satisfaction. The brain, deprived of its obsession, searched for the next focus. Revenge didn't heal trauma. It only paused the noise temporarily. He walked away, cognitively exhausted. Not relieved, not empowered, just aware. Some psychological battles end quietly, leaving the survivor functional but forever altered by the person they had to become. The mind never closes files completely. It archives them. Somewhere in memory, this story remains active, dormant, not resolved, waiting for another trigger strong enough to reopen the cycle.
Because trauma repeats patterns. Different faces, same psychology. Another mind will break, another shadow will form, and once again memory will demand attention, proving darkness is not created, only transferred.
This chapter is over, but the shadow never disappears.